Hi, Angela. Okay, I'm gonna admit Dave is on. Can you hear me, Angela? Okay, okay, cool. Okay, and then let's see what else we got here.
So you got that spreadsheet figured out?
Yeah, I figured it out. I had put it on the flash drive.
Okay. I opened it up, so we're reading.
Dave, can you hear me? He doesn't have sound, it looks like.
Well, he's on mute, or no video.
Doesn't show that he's, Angela is supposed to be here, so what time is it? It's 5:01.
I can hear you.
Okay, great, thanks, Angela. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. I'm in Salida.
Oh,
Salida.
wow, you're not halfway across the world today?
Wait.
Oh, actually, I made it halfway across the Front Range. So
Well, you are pretty far away
sometimes
because,
it feels just as far.
well, with the bridge being closed, you're even further away
Oh,
now.
yeah.
I know. I'm rescuing a friend that's working here, and it's a bit of a haul back home from Boulder.
Which way, are you gonna go back up to 70 or what?
Well, I think I'll go Independence Pass because I have to charge my rig. And it looks like they're recommending I go through, you know how they always give you kind of the route recommendation when you put it in your destination? They're saying Aspen, so Independence Pass it is.
Cool.
Because you're in an EV?
Yeah,
I see. So you're playing the charge.
Yeah. I'm in a Tesla, so I'm looking for superchargers, which are abundant, and Independence Pass will be much better than I-70.
Awesome.
Right. Well, there is one just outside of Eagle there too, I think, on I-70, but you have to get to it first.
Yeah, there's a couple there. There's one in Edwards.
Edgeworth, that's the one I'm thinking of, yeah.
There's one in Gypsum. Yeah. I was hoping to go actually over Cottonwood and Keebler Pass, but Crested Butte and Gunnison still don't have a fast charge or a Tesla charger, so it's done.
Gotta work on that.
Okay, well, we've got 5:03. I'm gonna go ahead and start the meeting. I don't know that it looks like Dave does not have is he trying to call in? Is it? Oh, there he is.
I'm on live.
Okay,
Okay, great. Okay.
sound like you're driving.
Sound like, yeah, you sound like you're out in the windstorm.
Yeah, we are driving along the Hood River here and looking at Mount Hood. And I may have intermittent reception, and so I will let somebody else lead and I will listen in.
Okay. Hey Dave, we can't hear you really well, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the meeting started and run that. Are you cool with that?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, all righty. So we'll start this meeting of the Ridgway Sustainability Advisory Board meeting at 5:04 p.m. on June 5th, 2024. We have one more person coming in. There she is.
Ms. Ivers.
Dane is here. Okay. So I'm gonna do a quick little roll call.
Hi, David.
Hi, Dana, how are you?
Terry, nice outfit. Look at that.
Dave,
Mama's
You're looking hip.
stripes and solids.
It's good.
Angela, here.
Here.
Ooh, in the box,
And up there.
in the box.
All right, David.
Here.
Yeah,
Here.
and Terry.
Here late.
That's okay. Just started, actually. I know Ken's not gonna be here. And Joyce said she would join us. She's got in a meeting right now, but she's gonna try to kick off of it as quickly as possible and join us. I wanted to, first off, we've got adding something to the agenda. JT was gonna be here tonight, but he is not gonna make it. So I want to give you an update on JT at the end of the meeting. On what's transpiring with him. A lot going on there. So we'll talk about that later, but I want to get through the agenda items first. Green Street Park Master Plan update. So last week, Preston and I met with Super Bloom and kind of went over some of the results of the survey, which is going to be presented on June 11th at 5:30 p.m. here in the community center. That's the next public meeting,
5:30?
5:30.
Here.
Here in the community center.
Okay.
The Decker room wasn't available, so we're just going to do it here. So went over that and kind of looked at the concepts that they have, and just wanted to give you a little bit of information on what came about on that.
Before you do that, did you ever get your letter out to them?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they received that prior
Yes.
to your update with them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You said that was June 11th or 13th?
It's the 11th.
It was the 13th
They had
previously,
to
yeah.
move it, and the reason they moved it is because John Clark was not available on the 13th. So as we have discussed, John is gonna do a presentation at the beginning of the meeting before any concepts are shown to explain why, well, actually, what the microgrid is, why the town wants it, why council wants it, and to provide information to the public prior to the concepts being presented.
Roll that, good.
So,
And I
That
committed,
we can really publicize that date like super clearly, because I've had 3 dates. I had tomorrow, and then I had the 13th, and then I had the 11th, and then even on our agenda, it doesn't have a date. Is there?
it is on the
public
Ridgway
then?
website.
it's on the Ridgway website.
I went
It's
there
been
today to
out
look
in the,
myself.
It's been out on Facebook and the vertical response. So I don't know where Preston got that date on the last meeting of the 6th. I have no idea where that came from, but it was never scheduled for the 6th. It was either going to be the 13th, but we changed that because of and we changed it. It's, these flyers have been out for at least, I'd say 2 weeks now.
Is it in the paper?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. If it was in our monthly, little
Info blog,
blurb that
yeah.
we get for the paper every month. So just to continue on with that. So some of the things that came out from that survey I thought were pretty encouraging, is that there were 38% of the 80 people that responded. That's a pretty good turnout, actually, that responded to the survey. 38% were in favor of the solar, and another 17 were in favor of the solar if it was raised. So that puts us at, over 70 or over 50 percent that were in favor of some type of solar. So I think that's a good indication.
You know it can't be raised because there's no money.
Well,
Yeah.
there's ways to, I can speak to that here when we get to it.
Yeah, let me
Yep.
get through this update and then we can do that. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because we've gone over this a million times, but
Oh, it's important.
so I thought that was pretty good. And also the 3 concepts that Super Bloom is going to be presenting, all of the concepts include the 425 kilowatt, thank you, kilowatts of solar.
Wow.
So what they
Could you
did
repeat
is
that?
they-
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
all of the 3 concepts.
Okay.
Hold on a second, I got somebody else coming in. Joyce?
3 concepts. What was
So
the
they're-
kilowatts?
they're gonna
What was the
present the three-
kilowatt?
425. So
Okay,
that was
that's
the
all I need.
original design size.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That, I've got
I'm
it.
gonna repeat
Original
that for
capacity,
Joyce.
however.
That's
it shows
the
it.
capacity.
Joyce did you get that,
Carrie?
Dave?
Yes.
That's
That's the
capacity.
size of the solar array, yeah.
That's the capacity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which just.
I got it, thanks.
And it's,
Okay.
it's in our notes, that size.
Joyce,
Can't see the back.
are you on, Joyce?
I'm on.
Okay, hi, I was just updating everybody on the, meeting that Preston and I had with the Green Street.
You want to,
Hey, Dave, can you mute?
Super Bloom.
Dave, can you mute? Thank you.
So basically what I was telling everyone is that 38% of the 80 people surveyed were in favor of solar, 17% of those, additional 17% were in favor of solar if it could be raised. The other thing is that all three concepts that Super Bloom is going to be presenting on the 11th, that's June 11th, it's Tuesday at 5:30, will include the 525 kilowatts.
Yeah, 425.
Or 425, I'm sorry, 425 kilowatts. So basically what they did is they took your design, and then they took two other designs that they kind of squiddled some things around with some different ideas.
Well, cool. I mean, so as you recall, and you may have read in the minutes, the letter that Dave wrote said that the SAB preferred that size, and if they had to compromise to 80% of that. And it sounds like they didn't do that, which is interesting.
They thought they would just go for it.
Yeah, good.
Which
See
is-
how
which
it
is
plays out.
So, we'll see how that goes out.
The other input I wanted to have, and you mentioned that we're gonna prep John, Mayor Clark, to present
Yes,
at the meeting, and I'll get with him in the next few days to try to
I know
give him just,
Preston wanted to reach out with you.
yeah, high level bullet points. But as an anecdote, I spoke with the guy who's building his house right there across from the pump house, right on Green Street. His name is Ken DeLuccio, and his daughter is on the youth council and so forth. And I explained the whole microgrid concept to him and the reason for the array and how it's gonna offset the town's usage and all that. Anyway, it took me about 5 minutes and explained it in good detail.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 minutes means half
No, it
an
actually
hour.
did, because, but what he said, this was the anecdote, is like, how come nobody knows this? And so I've talked to him half a dozen times about various pieces of it, showing him drawings and everything, but
So
he
this
still
is
didn't
why,
feel
this
as if
is
he
why we
understood it.
want
Yeah.
to start the meeting with
Right.
some information.
And that was why I was backing
Yeah.
that up, is that
Yeah.
I'll help prepare John to give a very, easy to understand list of bullet
Yeah,
points.
exactly. And Preston, just so you all know, Preston has already received emails from Parkside and Riverside residents who are opposed to it. But that's not.
That's normal, right.
Well, and they've been out there pushing negative emails to their
Right.
whole HOAs.
Right.
Oh, they have.
But,
Oh, yeah, I
the
probably
thing
received it.
is that, that's,
What's the
we're
negative?
not,
Just the idea,
surprised about that, of course.
just the idea of
Having solar there.
having solar in the
Yeah.
park rather than just being a park.
Okay.
Where can we find the survey results? So
Survey results will be presented to everyone at the meeting.
we don't get those ahead of time.
No, because if they're gonna get spread out, they need to be distributed to everyone. I talked with Preston about this morning, and he said, I can send you an email with the survey. It's kind of a page that's got all these little summaries, if you will. The survey itself was like 55 pages long with the answers. So we did
Wow.
a summary. So I can send that out to you guys if you want me to send that out.
It would be helpful just to see what folks have commented on, so we're prepared for the meeting.
Yeah, what's really interesting about it is it was really, the majority of people wanted natural. That was the big thing about having it be a natural park,
Now,
Oh,
meaning having
natural vegetation.
yeah, making sure that was, it was
As
not, it was
opposed
not a
to-
playground, it was not a. It
oh,
was not a athletic park,
good.
but it was more of a natural park.
How many
I-
respondents were there?
80, there were 80 people who responded.
Is that kind of what we were?
That's actually higher than it was for the athletic park.
Oh,
Well,
And there
also,
will be another survey going out after this next public meeting.
Right.
To kind of narrow down what happens at that meeting.
the other thing that happened between that first meeting and this meeting, there was press regarding the planned park at the school. And planned park in the school, if you got a chance to read those in the papers, they're showing a regular 8-lane track and field track, AstroTurf in the middle, but around that, playgrounds and bouldering walls and a lot of the things that would probably have been,
Wasn't there a
recommend.
dog park included in that?
Dog
too?
park even,
Yeah.
recommended.
there's already there's a disc golf thing up there.
Right, yeah, and they'll formalize that. But my point is that a lot of the
Yeah, all
amenities
the
that people
playground
might have
stuff.
wanted in Green Street are already being planned 100, 200 yards away. at the high school, so.
Oh,
I
that's
think,
good to
and I
know.
sent that to Super Bloom saying, just FYI,
That's a good.
yeah.
good thing.
Really, that's
there's
really,
a lot of potential redundancy here, within very close proximity. And she said, yeah, we're aware of that, so, because they met with the school to go through that.
great.
Joyce, are you hearing all of this? Are you on board here?
I didn't hear most of that. Can you remind me what percent of the survey approved or was in favor of solar?
Sure, there were 80 people who responded to the survey. 38% of them were in favor of the solar. And there was an additional 17% who were in favor of the solar if it was raised.
Got it. Okay.
Did we get any indication of why it was important to them, those that was raised?
Because they wanted, I think it was mainly because they wanted to have things that could be done underneath it.
Okay.
And I know that one or maybe two of the additional drawings has a couple of raised ones with things that can be done.
And
Super Bloom did a really nice job.
Maybe some carports?
Yeah, carports, carports.
Because that's raised by itself.
Yeah, carports.
So, yeah, that was the,
Just as an anecdote, if you recall the original layout that I had presented, there was the northern array up by the apiary, which was a fixed array.
Mhm.
I recommended that remain unchanged because it's a good buffer to the apiary. That whole southern section was a tracking section, and I had my engineer that I had the grant money for do a quick assessment. He said that if they took half of that remaining southern section and applied it to the carports, it would free up half that whole southern space.
Oh, so you could get half of that on that.
Just about half.
Carport with
Two carports, one on each side of the street.
Nice.
So maybe, I didn't translate that message to Super Bloom yet, because I'm waiting to see, so I don't want to be too obtrusive, but let's see what they come up with.
Super.
so,
Hey, Jeff,
yeah.
From the Zoom perspective, it would be much more interesting to pin the screen on the people rather than the agenda when we're having discussion items.
Oh,
Because I'd rather see like Dana, and Ray and Dave than looking, thank you.
Can you see
Well,
it?
now we can see you.
You're
Oh, good.
huge,
Well,
You're like about, as big as,
12 feet high.
yeah.
Oh, no.
Godzilla. We got
Ah,
Angela
Maybe I should
Godzilla.
turn myself off, but I want to see you all.
Good.
Sorry.
How's that?
That was a terrible. Oh, there you are. Now you're the smaller Godzilla.
I think, what Preston and I both.
Like Godzilla. Thanks for the stop, Dana.
So, overall, Preston and I, were pretty happy with what Super Bloom put together, for their drafts for this meeting. And they are sending out, I think they sent it out this afternoon. I haven't had a chance to look at the final, but, pretty interesting.
That's
So,
good.
overall, I think,
Like they're
I
doing
think
their
it
job.
was some good, good feedback from the community, and they seem to be listening to that, and, but also, making a pretty clear statement that the town and town council wants, solar.
So, you send out notices for the town council meetings. Will you send out a
I
blanket
send
notice?
out
Well, someone
town
does.
council meetings. I send out the town manager's report to all of you.
No, not just to me, to the,
That's a different,
the local.
different function.
Yeah, that's town clerk, that's Pam.
well, maybe Pam could send out something about this meeting on her broad base of people that she sends these notices to, so that more people.
I think she
would
has,
know.
it is on the
Yeah,
town website
It's
right now. It's on
town
Facebook.
website. She posts it, we have it posted.
All right.
on the bulletin board.
I never go to the website. I just wait to get the emails,
Yeah,
which I bet a lot of people, you know what I'm saying?
Right, so.
You're not gonna go to the website and to check on the meeting if you don't know the meeting exists. You know what I'm saying?
we have flyers and we have signs up too.
But
Well,
I
it could
think,
be one
I
more
think to Dana's
thing.
point,
Why
we
not?
do get,
Do it.
I get an email from the town about a variety of things. Maybe we
Yeah.
could just push an email out to all town
Are
residents.
you guys signed up for the virtual response?
I don't know.
I think.
I don't know what I'm signed up for, but I get notices
Okay,
of
You talking about
I think
emails?
it might-
emails,
Right.
emails. Yes.
okay. All right, I'll find out.
I mean, it would be nice to make sure everyone knows about it.
What other means of communication can you get to get that to us?
Do we know if either the HOAs are going to do a presentation at the meeting?
This is not a, I mean, they can do public comment.
Right.
But as far as a presentation, we could, no, it would not be that sort. There'll be questions and answers, I'm sure.
I'm just wondering if there's going to be a whole slew of people from
Dave
our side,
has
are
his
they going to
hand.
have a representative?
People have their
sort of-
hands up.
You know,
Summarize.
I don't think, I know that at the last, public meeting that we did for the athletic park, we basically took people's comments by letting them go around and do things with the different designs. There were some people that spoke, but it wasn't, like presentations. It was just like, we'd like to see this, we'd like to see that.
So the HOAs are not on the agenda.
There's some
They're
hands
not-
up.
Yeah.
There's some hands up, Tim.
Okay.
How many of our committee members will be able to make that meeting? I think it would be helpful to have as many there as we can.
I'll be there.
I can be there.
I will.
There.
I want to be there.
Yep, I'll be there.
It'll be interesting.
So it sounds like
Excellent, thank you.
Angela, David, Dana, and Terry. Joyce, are you gonna be around?
I have it on my calendar, so I'm gonna try and attend as well. But I I feel like just with being in the field these days, it's hard for me to know until about Monday afternoon.
Oh, sure. So it sounds like we have 4, possibly 5.
Yeah.
I don't know about, Ken, he did mention to me when he told me he wasn't gonna be here tonight, that he wanted to go to that meeting, so I gave him this information, so I'm guessing he'll be here.
Well, maybe Preston can give a nod out to the committee just as part of the meeting. Just saying the committee is present,
Yeah.
which is a subcommittee of the town council.
Yeah. I'll be
I
there.
also wanted to, while we're kind of talking about Green Street, I mean, I think it's important for us to have a presence at these meetings, but for actual town council and town making a vote on this, we are all also individual residents and voting citizens for or against this park. And so our efforts would actually be more impactful for being able to to provide some sway with council is by writing letters of support or showing up in council in support of Green Street Park. Just from the little bit I know, I mean, we can go to these meetings and try and sway other people for sure, but if we as individual members don't also provide either support at a meeting verbally or by sending a letter, then, there's no way to offset all the other negative letters. They're going to make their decision based off kind of who's the loudest. And
Right.
so I just want to mention that that's something that we can do as well. And that would probably make quite a large difference just to offset some of the negativity.
That's a great point, because Preston is quick to remind me that ultimately the decision of what is going to happen at the park would be the town council's choice. And so I agree that the SAB should have a formal presentation or informal, whatever you want to call it, to the town council based upon the results of our interactions and research. And there is an agenda item today, discussions already processed for communications to town council. So maybe we can fold that into that agenda item, but specific to this particular initiative, I agree that whether it's Dave as the chairman, if he's available, or somebody else that, or collectively that the SAB become present at a town council meeting, myself excluded, of course, to present, our opinion and the actions that, we believe are necessary collectively.
I believe I'm fully in agreement with both of those, and thank you, Joyce, for the call to action to write some letters. Is that to Preston? Is that to town council? Is that to Super Bloom?
What I would suggest is that you write a letter to the town council and copy Preston on it.
Okay.
Great.
That's typically what.
And in that letter, request audience with town council as an agenda item. It's like, we would like to,
Yeah,
you know,
and I will make sure that that is
Okay.
requested on that agenda.
But in that letter should be a public letter. That should be a private letter for, as a resident of Ridgway, not an SAB member, but me, Angela, I support this, is what I'm hearing Lloyd say.
Yes.
It's also a separate topic with what Terry's saying, that SAB supports this.
Yeah, I'm separating those out because I think, you know, I had a conversation with one of the council members about how do you make decisions about whether a park is approved or not for solar. And I mean, they were pretty blunt, was really, you know, it's based on the number of people that speak for or against it as individual residents that have a large impact. And if all they hear is the negative votes, they're not going to vote for it because they're under the impression that the majority do not support it. And so unless we as individual citizens provide something different and not just as an SAB, because as a member of SAB or like presenting to the town, that's not quite the same because we are a town supported group. And so it doesn't have the same, it doesn't get weighed the same. You still have to counter this individual residential votes. It is kind of my understanding.
And that did occur during the athletic park planning process. He must have received it like 100
It was
emails.
118 emails.
And I think that was because that was invited, right? So somewhere in the process, they invited the public to comment.
Yes,
So
and
maybe
we didn't do it that way this time.
It was
because
super
it was
blue.
in-
Yeah, I haven't seen it that way, and it seems like that would be a good thing for the town to invite the community to.
No, we're just not having it go to the town manager. We're having it go directly to Super Blue.
Oh, I see.
So will that be the same, that the town council
Um,
gets those letters, or is it gonna be like the survey where it's not really, I don't know.
Well, I know that Preston's already getting letters and that he's gonna be sharing with council now,
But
so.
that's different than asking for letters. If that was the process before, then it should be the same process, because that process that happened with the community should be replicated, for better or for worse, when you have processes where you have public input, but it's not consistent, that you don't ask for written letters, then, and you did before.
Yeah,
then
then it
that's
seems
fine.
biased. Yeah.
Yeah, and let me
That's
just,
biased.
let me just fill you in on what I've been told is that they are gonna encourage people to write a letter. My understanding is that Preston would like those letters to go directly to Super Blue only because he got inundated with 118 whatever letters. So I will find out for sure
Can
and.
we ask that it's the same process? I mean, maybe we go, that's another agenda item, but I think, I feel strongly that it should be the exact same process for the community. So we have there's transparency and there's consistency. And that the community who can't show up to meetings has the opportunity to comment, and it goes to town council rather than a third party, if
I
that's the
agree.
way it did before.
When I think last time, all of
It
those
would
letters
also-
became available to the public too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
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 And I think that last time it was directed to just
It
Preston.
was just, that was the inbox. So it's a different inbox, same process.
Yeah.
So I think you're right.
I'll relay that, Angela. Thank you.
Such that all the letters then get collated and made available to the public. That's what happened.
Oh,
there.
it will happen that way,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Which means they're available to the town council, because we read them.
Yeah.
Super.
ad nau-
As long
ad
as
nauseam.
the outcome's the same, I guess the process. But, you know, if we do this regularly, it's nice if the public has an idea of the way. And if it's gone to a third party rather than town council, it is a little bit inconsistent. But as long as the end result's the same.
Yeah, like Terry said, regardless of where the letters go, they will all be shared to the public and to town council.
Sounds to me like it's just a different inbox. So
Yeah.
Preston's not receiving the raw letters
Right.
himself. But they'll still be collated and shared publicly. So that's good.
That's what we've got on the Green Street Park Master Plan update.
Thank you.
Hi, Dave.
So, yeah, so I would wait till after the meeting to write your letter because we'll have different options and you can express which option you prefer. What's the course of events after this? When is the final meeting slated to happen? And I assume the council won't take it up till after that, which would be like August?
That's right.
Actually, I looked at the time schedule and I believe that we have this second meeting and then depending on how this meeting goes, well, they're slating the final meeting for July, like the end of July. But, you know, that can change.
Is that the final meeting with Super Bloom or with the
That's-
town
that's
council?
the Town council decision.
So is there going to be one more public
So-
meeting for this or?
Yeah, right now, we're just saying that there won't be, but there very well could be, so that council decision could be August.
Mhm.
We did 2 public meetings for the athletic park,
Just two?
just 2, yeah.
So that final meeting from Super Bloom will be here presenting to town council?
The meeting on the 11th? is-
No, the one in July.
Resulting from that.
Yeah, they'll be putting together a final based on the results of this next meeting. Unless there's the need to have one more public meeting.
And in the athletic town process, there was an actual third iteration, I think, or at least a third drawing.
It was
set that
the final drawing before council.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
But it was different than the first two that had been.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It was the final one that was presented to council.
Right.
Yeah. So it was still a public meeting, but it was a council meeting that was presented. Yes.
Cool.
Now, when is council meeting that this is, what's the date for the council meeting that this will all be,
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Probably gonna be August too.
if we don't do another public meeting, it's the second Wednesday of the month is when council meets.
So the earliest would be the July council meeting.
Most likely it's
Yeah.
gonna be the August one.
Yeah, that's what I'm
but-
thinking, just
no,
because it's gonna get another iteration, my guess is.
But we'll, I don't know at this point. We won't know until after this meeting.
The 11th,
Yeah.
that would be wait,
The earliest
That'd be
would
the
be
10th.
the second week in July. And
the 10th in July, July 10th or August 14th.
So my guess is at this meeting, they're gonna present the 3 options and do a straw poll. And then likely one will be favored over the others, but may need another tweak. You know, so that's
Very
how it
possible, yeah,
happens. with the
because
athletic
we've
park.
got, because like I said, there will be another survey that'll be put out after this meeting on the 11th. Dave, do you have a question?
He probably forgot to take his hand.
Dave, your hand's still up? Good?
He must have forgotten.
Or he's out of coverage?
Oh, yeah, where is that?
Oh, looks like it.
Where is he?
Okay.
Family.
Yeah, he's good. Thumbs up.
Where is he?
He's on the road, I think in
Yeah.
Oh,
Oregon.
he's
He's
up
took
there.
a,
There he is.
Month-long biking trip.
Fun.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Okay, so I guess we're ready to move on to the next agenda item unless anybody has anything further they'd like to add. Okay, no hands up. Okay, so, let me just get this here, share my screen. So what we've got next on the agenda is the, pull this up first. As an update on the climate action plan, I will get this onto shared in just 1 second. You all see this? So, approximately 3 weeks ago, Eco Action Partner asked to get together with, Dave and, Dave Jones and Preston to go over the update for the climate action plan for the
2024.
For the second quarter of 2024. So what we did is we went through, Preston wasn't able to make it, Dave wasn't able to make it, John came. So, I ended up going into that meeting. And from that, we went through and just updated the second quarter 2024. So everything else on this document that we all went through last year has not changed.
Can I inject something for David's sake? So notice all the tabs on the bottom here. So the climate action plan is a regional climate action plan, which has like a master set of objectives, and then each of the communities has their own
Right.
appendix, and this is our
Yeah, that's kind
appendix.
of what I think.
Yeah, this is our working document, to see how we're doing with meeting those goals of that climate action plan.
Who rolls all this up?
This is
Eco Action Partners.
Eco Action Partners, yeah. So we went through and hopefully everybody got a chance to look at this, prior to this meeting. We went through and just made some notes on some updates of this. So I thought it would be a good idea to just see if there's anything, did you all get a chance to look at it?
Just this
I didn't.
afternoon.
No?
No.
Okay.
I did, but I was confused if there was a comparable type of tab that would show like red, yellow, green in terms of what communities have done what, so we can see relative to the region how we're doing.
That's an interesting idea, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
there-
appendix are differ by communities. That might be a little difficult.
No, I don't think that they have, let's see if there's anything in the overview.
So the question I have is that each community has the same set of objectives.
No, they don't.
No, they
have-
all have different
Yeah,
objectives.
which would make it difficult to do the comparative analysis because the objectives are different.
Yeah,
Although there's a lot of commonalities.
yeah, there absolutely is, yeah. So everything that you see in this column that says quarter two 2024 are things that John, Clark, and I added to this document. So, which was interesting because there were some items in there that Eco Action wasn't even aware that we had done, or John Clark was aware that we had done, like the website. Yeah, so,
On that number 5 there, one that says continue to participate, row 5,
yeah,
continue to participate in regional collaboration of local government stakeholders. One thing that you could probably make note of there is that two town council and the mayor, 3 of us went to the Mountain 2030 Sustainability Summit.
So did
So
I.
that's a 4, that's right. You
did
actually,
you go?
yeah, as an SAB or as Dana.
No, I just went as me.
So that was something that
That
we
was,
did participate in regional collaboration.
Okay. Mountain 2030.
2030 Sustainability Summit. There
How
was,
many did?
there was 3 elected officials and Dana.
Well, I was a staff member, but
And that was
And
held
city
in
member.
Vale in the fall. It was in the fall, right?
Okay, awesome. We'll get that added to that. Thank you. So do you want to just scroll through this and see if there's anything you all would like to add? And see what we've added already, if you haven't looked at this. Also, hoping to continue networking, gathering information, Mountain Town 2030 advanced webinars.
There it is.
Mountain Town 2030 draft resolution on net zero, we added that.
Okay, so that is,
Having
Yeah, it's in there.
attendance. Interest in small group attending, in fall 2024.
Can I ask one more question just for context? So this list of objectives in these different categories, did we work off of a suggested list from EAP?
I believe so. If you goes to the overview
Yeah.
tab, that's the master list, and I think then each community
It's the
pick-
first
pick
tab.
from it.
That's second.
guide,
Big. Well,
that's high level.
yeah.
I thought I saw it in that overview.
Overview.
So,
Okay, so we started with that.
and then we chose the ones
And then
applicable
we
to our
added
community.
things.
And did we We being the SAB or we being the town council?
So this was a town council, and actually, this is what town council
Okay,
at the time put into the climate action plan.
and when was this
This was
adopted
in
or?
2022, I believe.
All right,
As an iteration, I think there was an earlier version too.
Yeah.
okay, thanks. That's
And
So-
what's also new, just as an FYI, is see the appendix Silverton, San Juan County?
Uh-huh.
That's a result of a grant that I helped write. We got $100,000 to include Silverton, San Juan County in the regional climate action plan. So now it's San Juan County, Silverton, Uray County, Ridgway, Uray, Telluride, San Miguel County, Mountain Village. So
So David,
all
I'm
of
gonna
ones
send
above
you the
Milford,
actual map. I
Norwood.
don't think you have that, do you?
It's linked on the website. You can
Yeah,
go-
I think I did look
Okay.
through it once, so
Okay.
yeah, I can get it.
a big document.
Okay, yeah, it's a big document.
Yeah.
Cool. It looks like you got a lot of the highlights
So
there.
we kind of tried to hit the things that, that I know that we accomplished. Everybody who was, Eco Action plus John went through and was very impressed with the website. There was some, questions about how often it's being updated, and I think that's something.
The website being
Yeah, we
the
talked
SAB
about-
website.
Is that linked to the town website?
It is?
Yeah,
Uh-huh, yes. So, if you guys want to go through this one at a time, we can, or we can just go through what we updated. I would like to see that maybe, we try to update this a little. The last time it was updated was, let's see, when did we do this? Last year, spring of 2023. So hopefully we can, the next time we have an update, you all can participate in that.
And they're
Go through
they're
this.
accumulative, right? So all the progress in 1 year is still recorded.
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure.
These are great. I appreciate that that's updated so well. Two things. One, I don't see the electric vehicle little fair that we had, which was.
Yeah, that's on here. I just gotta, hang on a second. I gotta get this little document. It's not wanting me to.
Super.
There it is right there, right? EV
Uh-huh.
ride and drive event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. I see it now. And can we use this document to highlight our priorities somehow as a advisory board for like the electric code? So, rather than just plugging away at the, given updates, I wonder how we might use this document in our CAP action plan as a committee to target and actually like move forward on some of the more critical
Well,
things.
What I could do, Angela, is I could take the Ridgway portion of this. This document is what everyone uses to do their updates. All of these communities use this document. It's a live document. So we can take our portion out and create a
Like a
separate
roadmap or a
document
program.
that we can
That'd be great.
prioritize, but this one really, the only people who are physically going in and updating this are Equal Action Partners.
Yeah, we can copy our tab,
Absolutely.
and that'd be great.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yes, yeah, they only update this once a year, and we've tried to get them to update it more often, and that they have not been willing to do that. So I think later in this meeting, we were going to talk about a working document to have kind of our open issues, and we can pull over issues from this document, but I think we need our own working issue
Sure.
document and can't use this.
so I will go ahead and do that. I'll create just a document with the Ridgway, just for Ridgway, and we can use that as our working document.
Perfect.
And I will get that out. Sure, I know we don't want to put it on the G drive, right, the Google Drive. You guys want it in some of we'll figure out how you'd like to have that.
Well, initially, you can just distribute it to everybody so we can read it.
Yeah,
And then we can have a master version of it for working on. Pretty much just have to cut and paste that tab. or that worksheet.
Yep. So let's see,
Not here, but I have.
funding acquired, next steps, getting the parcel.
How do I get this?
Renewable,
Ask.
oh, this is for the, yeah, solar, I think, on, install renewable capacity on government buildings.
So Dana's asking, did you send this out to us before? I saw it
did.
today.
I've,
Missed it.
all my,
emails.
yeah, all my emails have been erased. Can you send it again? Is that a hassle?
No, it's not cancel it out.
Okay, thank you.
But you don't have editing control on this document, right? This is.
I
No.
can, but I'm not gonna edit this. This is
Right.
really, all edits should go through legal
Right.
action. That
So
is sort of,
So it's a read-only document for us
Okay,
yeah.
right now. So she makes our version of it.
okay.
So, incentivize and promote, net meter solar systems on residential, commercial, rooftop and pole mount locations.
So that's like an old thing because SMPA is now looking at moving to TLU, right?
Which doesn't preclude it, it just makes it a different calculus on the payback. But yeah, it's gonna continue. I mean, net metering, they're gonna continue to offer rebates for it a whole bit.
So we updated nothing really
But
too much here.
there is some disadvantage to future net metered systems based on time of use rates unless you buy batteries and you can play the, the shifting, the shell game with your energy. Dave, I understand you've been in pretty good conversations with SMPA on that topic offline, right?
I have, Wally and I have had some good discussions and I've crunched a lot of their data. And current plan is for the 15th of July, we'll have a Clean Energy Committee meeting. And that's going to be the number one topic is to look at the pros and cons of time of use and what the impact will be on renewables and electrification and solar. So stay tuned, but hope you all can tune in on Thursday, the 15th of July between 9 and 11. I think it'll be a good discussion and Wally will be there to help address the concerns that have arisen.
So a little context on that, the time of use rate structure is by itself a structure. The actual rates they put in each of the buckets will have a proportional or disproportional impact on various rate class people like net metered folks. So right now they're trying to seek input, which is what Dave is doing, in order to figure out where the right balance is. If you look at a bell curve, the majority of the bell curve is not going to be impacted very much, but the shoulders will be. And so this is going to help inform which way they move the price points on the rates so that the bell curve remains pretty fat. Was that a good summary, Dave? Did you catch that?
Yeah, right now you offset, let's see, I'm unmuted. Okay. Right now you offset, 13.4 cents per kilowatt hour of electricity that you generate, and that's kind of your payback on your solar. In the future, the daytime rate is going to be lower than that, which means that your payback, instead of being 12 years on your solar system, is going to be significantly longer. And also because there's a daytime and an evening bucket, and the evening costs a lot more, you won't be able to shift your solar credits from the daytime to the evening, which means you certainly don't want to oversize your system. And as Terry says, unless you have batteries, you're really not offsetting that more expensive evening credit. But more on that later. SMPA is well aware of the disincentives to solar and is trying to look at a rate that won't have too large an impact on solar, but it will have some impact.
Dave, you said the Climate Action Committee meeting with SMPA is on the 15th of July. or June?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
15 July. That's our Clean Energy Committee meeting.
But you said that was,
Um,
you said that was a Thursday, but I'm seeing it as a Monday.
Let me check my calendar, but it maybe we may have. Yep, it is a Monday. So Monday at SMPA from 10 to 12, the 15th of July.
What was the date again?
July 15th.
July 15th? I thought it said 8th, sorry.
And,
Yeah.
sorry, when was it? What morning?
It's at 9 a.m., right? 9 a.m. at SMP's.
10. It's 10 to 12 actually.
Oh, 10. Okay.
Yeah.
July 15th.
Yeah,
10.
I think it might be good to have some messaging around that. As someone who invested in solar many years ago, you know, here we are trying to incentivize and promote solar in our community, but those of us invested in it long ago are now being disenfranchised in ways. And, you know, no criticism to S&P. I understand the challenges, but the messaging around this is going to be important, because if those of us that already have solar panels are actually like, now we're expected, it's going to take longer to pay off, and the payback's going to be less, and the benefits are going to be less. How do we message this is a benefit and this is a way we want to go? So to me, I see it as a contradiction.
Well, it's also necessary to understand the history of it. So what was the benefit that you enjoyed and I enjoyed putting in my solar system was highly subsidized. And it was subsidized by other members of SMPA that don't have solar. So the issue that Dave was mentioning is that us solar producers, we take our excess solar, we put it on the grid during the day, and we get the full retail credit for that. We then use that electricity at night. All it does is subtract from the numbers in our solar bank. But the
Yeah.
fact is nighttime energy
Get all
costs.
that, and I understand it, but I guess my point, Terry, is that the messaging is not, it just doesn't look good for us promoting solar, and then all of a sudden
I know, right.
I'm just saying, that's all I'm saying. I don't
No,
need
it's-
an
it's-
explanation why. I support
totally
the
correct.
process, but as a board, we need to consider how these things are communicated. And like, if I was new to buying solar, I think, well, what's going to be different in another 10 years that they're going to change the structure, and then it's not going to be as beneficial.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
it's a good point. Yeah. And Angela, you know, when people ask me about solar now, I recommend that they hold off and wait for a few months and see what the rates are going to be, and then make their decisions.
If your
I
only
think that
reason for,
messaging,
Yeah.
just so we're aligned with the messaging is all my point is. It's not solar, it's not wind, it's not hydro, nuclear, just clear messaging, because it's a very confusing time for people, and things have changed and things will continue to change. And so how do people stay updated on, you know, what's the best way to point their investments towards sustainability for them and the community in the long run? And I will definitely be at that meeting.
no, it's a very good
Good.
point.
Yep.
You know, and there's two primary reasons why people put solar on their homes. One is for a financial payback, and all the subsidies enabled that for years, including the federal and state incentives and the utility incentives. Or two is you just want to be able to produce your own electricity with something that's green. And so there's always been a two-fisted reason to get
Right.
into it. Now the one fist is dropping a little bit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And not everybody is doing it just because they believe in it. They're doing
Right.
it because it's.
They think they can save money. In fact, there's a whole scam, there's these solar scammers out there giving you the zero down.
Right.
And all they're doing is selling you money, essentially.
Okay,
Okay,
let's.
didn't mean to go south on that.
It's okay.
We're almost at 6 o'clock, so let's try to move through this. So again, these are updates over here that we have.
Looks like
Here's
we've
my
got.
recommendation. There's a lot here, and
There is a lot here.
get through it in this meeting and in any short
just
time, maybe we have a little bit of homework.
Yeah, and that's why I sent it out early, so you guys have a chance to take a look at it.
I missed it, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So we can, I'll get this out to you as a separate tab,
Okay,
that you all can look at your leisure. And then maybe we can address this again.
Maybe we can have an agenda item to,
Kind of another little,
maybe we can have agenda item for next time to,
Refresh.
you know, update anything that we see that hasn't been updated, but also to maybe do some prioritization, like,
so I'm sorry.
some prioritization, like.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Sure.
Angela's.
Like a roadmap prioritization.
Sure. Okay. All right, so we're gonna say goodbye to this for now. Okay, next item on the agenda is processes and communications to town council. So I did the minutes to your last meeting. I know there was a lot of discussion about how to communicate things to council and how you guys want to do it. There was, I know that at the end of the meeting, you guys were talking about getting a list of bullet points that that you'd like to see council be aware of at these meetings for each meeting. So like this meeting, the bullet points would be Green Street master plan update. You reviewed the climate action plan and want to do, I mean, this is kind of what I gathered from your last meeting, but I think having a discussion on how you want to do that process for communicating things to council. You had stated you're interested in doing that. So David?
So I thought there were kind of two things. One is to sort of formalize a process for Terry to go back and tell the town council what we have been working on. But another process for when we want to provide input to town council
Right.
Formally, like on the Green Street Park or something.
Yeah,
specific.
like we've been working on this.
Right.
We want to now, you know, present it to you and have some discussion or action on that.
So
And-
that kind of falls into place with our SAB pending action items. That is also in this packet. So we've had discussion in the past about things like an SAB member presenting things to council. Requests for like the net zero resolution, the terms, and you guys want to make changes to the terms. Those are all things that this board should present directly to council.
So just
putting the processes together to do that is what.
playing with, or going back to what David said, so there's two levels.
2 levels, yeah.
Two different discussions here. One is, on the last town council meeting, I did give a report. And all I did was use the bullets from our last meeting. I said, this is what the things we talked about. But when we have initiatives like in this next action item list, I wonder if the mechanism, and this is maybe something you talked to Preston about, would the SAB form a little mini resolution to be presented to council, or would it just be a subject, a topic on the agenda? Or, for example, let's just pick one, idling vehicles. Say we had a request to town council about that. Do we
Right.
formalize that as the SAB hereby, resolves that blah,
It
blah, blah?
wouldn't be a resolution, it would just be a letter of recommendation.
So a
is that the-
recommendation.
Is that the way we should provide our input to council, is through a letter or in person, or what's the best
Preston's recommendation was in person.
in person?
You could, I would suggest presenting a letter, providing a letter that would be part of the packet, and then addressing that letter at a council meeting.
Okay.
Physically being.
But not under public comments, or it would be an actual agenda item.
It would be in the agenda.
Yeah,
A request from the SAB to
Address this issue.
to address net zero. their
right.
net
So that
zero
was a really good
recommendation.
example, because Dana was going to go
Right,
as a
right.
person and be in the public comment section. But it would be nice
Less
for
formal,
us to
yeah.
have,
I think it would be more impactful if you actually requested to have an agenda.
And we could shoot for a regular schedule, every 2 months, every quarter, we could get on it, just have a standing agenda, standing agenda item that we then bring various issues to the
Right.
town council. So that might be something to talk to Preston. Should it be just as needed, or should we have a standing agenda item every other meeting or every quarter or something?
We could, if we had a standing agenda item, there'd be some quarters where there's nothing on the agenda.
Then we
so
just forego it, yeah.
But at least it would be set
Right,
up.
because if we do it every 3 months, there might be something that we want to address quickly, like the idling thing, because the town is already working on that.
Right.
And we want to put some input into that.
So maybe we, as SAB, maybe I'll move that we request a standing meeting
wait.
agenda item.
We have agenda, can we open, I've had my hand up, the whole discussion,
I'm
before
sorry.
you move something, can we?
Yeah.
We don't need a motion on this, by the way.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, let me pull the agenda.
Sorry. It's a little tricky being on Zoom. I really appreciate this. I've been pushing for it for a year and I'm glad that we're moving forward with it. I agree absolutely with Deb that it has to be, one, someone needs to present it, like Terry, and two, it has to be in writing. And why not have the past agenda or the minutes, even though it's late, included in the town council packet every time? Even though we've approved it a month later, it's in the town packet. And so they see, and then we have a formatted, because it seems like that's how business works in the government, is that you have a process by which someone recognizes this is a call to action. And even if it's not a resolution, that we have a standard format that this is a call to action from the Sustainability Advisory Board that recommends town moves on this process. And if we have a process if we have a document that's consistent every time, it's going to get their attention. It's going to look the same. They know what it means and it's clear. And, you know,
So-
we might not have one every 2 months. We might have one every month. But I feel we're spinning our wheels a lot because we don't have this process in place. And for me, it's like a little bit frustrating because, you know, we've had various town council representatives on the board and it's not been clear how the reporting's been done. Terry, no offense whatsoever. I'm sure you're doing a great job reporting, but
Just
I
one-
don't feel the town council has provided us with a process to have a voice for action plan. So we're creating it ourselves. And so if we have, do you guys agree that it should be like a standard format, call to action?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's
standard.
two ways that let's call it a call to action manifests at the town council. One is it becomes an agenda item and there's an actual a motion that's made by one of the town council to approve a request. The second is an informational presentation that usually becomes advice to town management to further explore. So usually the mayor will do one of two things on any given action item, whether it's passing a liquor license or a PUD exception or something. There is background material that's presented by the presenter. There's a motion that's written into the packet. One of the town council members says, I move to approve this action as presented by the SAB. The second, again, is just an informational thing where effectively the result of the discussion is to inform, the mayor will say, town staff, do you have enough guidance to continue to investigate this? And so unfortunately, it becomes an action item for Preston or Deb rather than.
So we can, if we have an action item, we can actually propose it as a motion that's included in the agenda that's already stated in the exact wording that we would like, and then town council will move to adopt that or not.
Correct, and debated.
Yeah, depending on what the request is. I mean, for instance, you guys have already put together a net zero resolution. This would be something that you would then just recommend, you would request the council adopt the resolution for net zero as written, and then council would then discuss and say, well, whether they want Preston to go through, staff to go through and make any modifications to it or approve it as written. But I know Preston was very firm on stating he really wants to see an SAB board member present these recommendations in person.
To the
And that
town,
would be Terry.
Town council, yeah.
at the town council
Not
meeting.
Terry,
Yeah, it wouldn't
not
be- wouldn't be
Terry,
me, it'd be
it's
somebody
the
else.
It
Okay,
wouldn't be
that's
Terry.
fine.
Okay, that's very important that we understand
Okay.
that.
Yes, it would not be
we have
Terry.
a presentation,
Terry is the-
not Terry.
Yeah, it really should come from either the chair or the vice chair.
Okay.
If they're not available, then another board representative.
Who
Super.
presents the issue, presents
Right.
opens up the
Because answers
discussion.
any
Yeah, I
questions
agree.
that the
Whoever.
council may have, regarding, why do you want to see this? What are there, whatever the questions are, Angela. So
It would
that's,
be really nice to have this like process in writing somewhere in our Google Drive or somewhere in the town drive, whatever they use, because this, we're gonna roll out of this committee at some point, and I've been on committees that have to reinvent the wheel every time the committee structure changes. And if I just feel like we'll be more effective following a process that town council recommends and we understand.
okay.
Yeah, I think,
So
I
if you
think,
want me to go ahead, I would be happy to put together a draft process for this, for us to look at at our next meeting.
one way to do that is for us to pick a topic and, set up an agenda item at the next town council, and then the process will become apparent. Right?
Well,
So-
let's-
so
let's-
And then
it's-
but I think also just documenting that,
Just
because, like I said, this committee's gonna change, the town council's gonna change. The amount of time it's taken us to get to now where we actually are talking about a process has been a long time. And so to have a committee have to go through this process again detracts from the urgency of the material that we're discussing to move forward. Process is desperate in governments, and if it's in place, it's clear, we know what to do, the next group will not have to fumble through this.
Becomes a menu, yeah.
I appreciate Deb's recommendation to put together a straw man for discussion at next meeting. And then we can look at applying that, pick an issue and apply it and kind of move it forward. I like the idea of making sure it's all written down and we all agree to it.
So as part of this straw man or this draft process, you'll include both a written request with possibly a motion wording, and
We would not provide the motion wording. That would be Preston when he does his staff report. We would provide the request, what it is we're looking for. If Preston would put the motion, he would outline that in the staff report, which council would then look at prior to the actual
Okay.
meeting. And
As well as any information
Yeah,
that we want in the
in
package.
active
If we've got a
information, yeah.
PowerPoint
okay,
presentation.
but in this draft process, it'll be that packet with, whatever we're trying to
written,
present
so
as
written
and
request,
a person from SAB to present,
correct.
and maybe a standard agenda item in town council. Sometimes we won't have anything to present, but at least it's there.
Yeah,
So
and
that-
that's gonna be a question for Preston, honestly.
And it may take the place of the
Yeah.
report, like I did this report, that's at the end of the town council meeting, we go around, whoever has a committee report. So it could be that our agenda item becomes part of that standing committee report. Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
In other words, you have a time slot to talk about SAB.
I
So
do.
the days of, and the months that we have something we actually want to present, you don't do your,
Then it would be above and beyond that. I'd still give a report on what we discussed,
okay.
but this could be a specific topic that we want to have as an agenda item, supported by typically a PowerPoint and then by somebody presenting it.
Okay.
And that's the way it generally happens. Either a PowerPoint or a document. If it's a PUD, it's sometimes a 50-page drawing set, something ridiculous to look through.
So I will talk with Preston about a standing agenda item and see what his thoughts are on that. So again, Dave, go ahead and finish your comment. You were saying a written request.
Yeah, I'm just making sure, because we talked about a number of things, so a written request, a person presenting, and a standing time slot or whatever, or,
So the written request originally goes to Preston and he creates a resolution. Is this what I'm
Press
hearing?
will then present it, so that you don't, so the way it works, depending on what your action item is. I mean, if you're
Okay.
talking about idling.
Okay, let's just
vehicles,
pretend
let's say
idling.
it's idling vehicles.
Yeah,
You would prepare a letter, that
to the town council or to Preston?
to the town council.
Okay.
Requesting whatever you're wanting to request. If you want an ordinance stating that people can only idle for whatever time it is, you guys want to see that happen. I
Okay,
think right now we have 3 minutes. Is that what we have on the suggested?
yeah, the
Yeah.
suggested piece of paper, yeah.
And then, so it's saying that you'd like to see this happen.
Especially if
And the
it's
reasons
an
being
ordinance. like
Why
that,
you
yeah.
would like, so if you want an ordinance, that's what you, and then, get that to Preston.
That goes to
Say you want to be on the
That's what I
agenda for
want.
the next meeting,
All
or
right.
if there's a standing meeting, then do it that way.
Okay,
And then what he would do with this, he would take that information and he'd put it in the town council,
tag,
packet.
okay,
And say, the SAB is recommending that an ordinance be created, blah, blah, blah. If the council wants to do that, make a vote, this would be the motion. And then he would have to go back and prepare that ordinance based on what council decides they want to do. If they
After
wanna
the
change
meeting?
it To 5 minutes, or they want to reduce it to
Okay.
2 minutes, or whatever they want to do, then that's the point when they will do that.
So just to be clear, using that example, we would prepare a letter, get it to Preston before town council. He would look at that. And from that information, that letter, he would prepare a motion.
He would prepare, yeah. he would-
Potentially, if that's the outcome that
Potential,
we're looking
yeah.
for. So
resolution.
adding a little more color, let's just use the idling thing. The first time we would introduce this to the town council would be through a letter, and then probably a PowerPoint where we're gonna give a presentation to describe why this is important. So we give
Exactly.
supporting information, and then resulting from that presentation, town council, the mayor would say, Preston, the town council agrees that you should formalize a resolution, and that would happen at the next meeting.
Yeah, but
Yeah. They would vote on that.
right, but there would be a motion that they would vote on to have Preston.
To take some action, whether it's a formal resolution.
Preston, Preston would develop all that,
Yeah.
not us.
Okay,
We're just
all right, that's
making a
what,
recommendation.
because I thought we said earlier that some people come prepared with a motion to present to them, and then they can just use that
No,
wording in them.
No, we, as a board and as a citizen, you don't prepare the motions, the
Right.
motion. town-
As another example of the process, let's say
The
that,
town manager does that.
say the Sherbina wanted to have a parade and they wanted to close off X street. So they would present this to the town council. In that case, there'd be a permit and that would go before town council. And in that case, it would be agreed upon that night or not.
Mhm.
But if it's something that has long legs to it, like a resolution, or
That would have to.
then it'd be introduced,
Okay.
we provide the
I
education.
just want to be clear on the
Go
fact
through
that
more
we
of a
don't have
government
to, in our
No,
letter to
no, that's
Preston,
not-
make a
that's not
suggestion
our-
what the
We're
motion.
not tasked with that. We're tasked for making recommendations. We're an advisory board.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And he may decide that a resolution isn't necessary. It's just something that town council agrees on. And a motion that doesn't require a resolution is a
Well,
formal thing with a whole
Yeah,
bunch of legal.
And an ordinance for
Yeah, like an ordinance.
idling thing, that's a bigger deal.
Yeah.
You've gotta go
Right,
through
understand.
public hearing, you've got a bunch of things you gotta do. So,
But it's
so
consultation.
written request and person presenting. And,
And there's time to present.
With the request that the person presenting has a chance to present information
Right.
through a PowerPoint or a discussion or whatever. And sometimes if
so.
that PowerPoint is done in
Angela,
advance, it can
are
be
you
submitted.
again- Is all this, sound good to you? Are you in agreement with this?
I don't know if she's there.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Oops, didn't hear you.
Deb, so what I'm
Yes.
hearing, and I think we need to move this one forward, but prior to our next meeting, you will send to us a document with your recommendations based on the discussion that was held here on how we might formalize this process. And at the next meeting, we will then take what you put together and we can discuss it further and tweak it if needed and finalize that if possible. Is that kind
Yeah.
of where we
that-
are right now?
Yeah, and I'll also get Preston's input on that. So, yeah, I'll have that ready for you for the next meeting.
Great, thank you.
Sure. So that process.
So what's our thought about starting right now and creating a letter about idling for the next meeting with the town council?
I think what I heard is that she's gonna develop a process that
Oh, we
can
have to-
follow, and then
We have to do the process
then we'll
first.
plug that issue into the.
All right.
If you want to do that, you can do that. I mean,
Well, I mean, what's stopping
But
the process for
Yeah,
just
but, you know,
starting?
that's on the agenda. That's on the agenda coming up, so we can actually make that when we get to it.
Yeah, I
we
mean-
can actually move to make that happen.
So that was agenda item 3. Agenda item 4, Dave wanted to bring this up on the Ridgway Ride and Drive event this year. Whatever. Dave, do you want to grab this one?
sure. Yeah, I think that we had a very successful ride and drive event last year in some regards. We'd love to find a way to bring in more potential EV owners, and so, you know, I think to do that we need to, if we plan to do this event again, and I think we should, we need to pick a date, probably August, September timeframe is my guess. If it's possible to pair it with another event in town that brings in people, that would be great, but a lot of events do use a lot of the parking places and cause a lot of congestion, so that may be an issue. I think once we decide on an event date, hopefully SMPA can partner with us to come up with some, I don't know, swag. DMEA actually had a food truck at their event in Montrose. Is there a way that we can entice people to attend the event? But I just wanted to throw it out, make sure, see if there's anybody opposed to having another ride and drive event, see if anybody has an idea on when it might happen. And, I think I'm away for June, but in July, I'd be happy to start working toward that. But the sooner we kind of hone in on a plan and a day, that would be ideal. So out here.
What
I'm
about it?
Fully supportive of it because I bought an EV because of that event and I was able to test drive them all. So I'm happy to help you with that, Dave. I think it would be ideal to do it during a Friday. That's what's the event in the town park? The
Farmers market?
Yeah, the farmer's market, but not take up the parking and have our vehicles behind the Ridgway library and have a food truck back there and signage that's pointing the way for people to go in that direction. Unfortunately, I'm going to be gone after the middle of August, so I'd rather see it happen in early August. I'm happy to help and bring my vehicle to tell people about. It was great. There was a lot of people, a lot of owners showed up. There was a couple people from that were leasing or selling vehicles from like Nissan that showed up. So having those people there also is valuable. And there was motorcycles that were EV. There was a couple bikes. I think it's a great opportunity for us to showcase it. So thanks for bringing that forward.
They might be able to get Eco Action Partners to participate too. Didn't they participate last time, Dave, or not?
Yeah, they did. They had a booth. And then also the heat pump people had a booth and talked a lot about it, what they're doing.
That's great.
Yeah, one of the problems last time, we had about 30 vehicles. We were very successful getting local owners out. and we had our Grizzly Air folks there. SMPA were all out of town at a meeting, so we need to come up with a date. Eco Action Partners, similarly, Kendra was overseas. So Sean was the only person from Eco Action Partners who could attend. Everybody else was at the Folk Fest. So I like the idea. I mean, we've been told that we can't do the parking lots that we did before with a Friday, the usual Friday event. Yeah. But I like the idea of the Friday event at the library, and we might be able to carve out a few spaces in the main Ridgway parking area in front, just as a way to advertise it and get people moving that direction towards the parking lot. Otherwise, the library parking lot is a little out of sight.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that was my concern, is that getting people over there.
Do you think the railroad parking would let us do one
Oh.
Friday? Because it's right across the street.
That's an interesting idea, more visible to. the
Yeah, it's
farmers.
way more visible. I don't know anybody that, with the railroad museum, but
Look into the,
Joan Schismeyer, would be a person to ask about that, but that would be a great location for
Even
you
them.
want me to,
especially if we could manage to put a food truck over there, draw people over there.
just for one,
Yeah.
do you want me to, I mean, I don't know her, but I could call her.
I know Joan. But yeah,
That would be a
we should,
lot
we should
closer.
definitely put that on the list to investigate.
Okay,
yeah, I can send Joan a note and ask her about that. I know Joan pretty well.
Okay.
We
But,
look
but I
towards,
think the
like,
Ridgway
August.
Library would be good. It's just the advertising. We've got to figure out how to get people around the corner and
Right.
do the
Yeah.
event.
And I think also if it is in conjunction with the farmer's market, that like, we don't need to rely completely on advertising, because you put some signage up and you attract people by the visibility of the event, and they're gonna come out of curiosity because it's there.
Maybe we can do electric vehicle shuttles over to the
That's
spot.
what-
right. Or a parade
Electric-
around the,
Electric rickshaws.
Electric trolley.
a parade around the
Yeah.
park of electric vehicles with the,
Dave, if you
Yeah,
organize, if we could get this going before August 15th, I could help fully in any way, but after that, I'm
Okay.
gone.
Understand, Angela. Thank you. So I like all the ideas. We'll keep talking about this in July. I'm hoping that we'll have some dates to propose, and we'll need to then move pretty quickly on it.
So, just to looking at the calendar, for the town. We've got, the rendezvous on the 9th. We've got Mount Snuffles Marathon on the 16th. That draws in a lot of people, and that's over at the athletic park. So that might, but that's the 16th, you're gone, right? So,
Of June or July?
oh, August, we're looking at
August.
August, yeah. July is gonna be tough because of the concert series, that's, yeah.
I mean, August 16th, that is an interesting idea because people would be driving by that area, I guess. If
So,
a lot of
I mean,
people are
it's-
drawn in.
farmer's market, but there's also, I mean, a lot of people coming in from out of town for
Yeah.
this, for the marathon, so that might be an option. And having it in we could get it over across the street at the, railroad parking lot, that'd be pretty cool, but even if not, maybe, just some thoughts about having some signs up at the athletic park, telling people there's a EV show or a, I'm trying to say,
Well,
electric vehicle.
let me send notes to Eco Action and SMPA and see if either the 9th or the 16th.
9th will not work. 9th will not work.
Oh, 9th.
That's the
Okay.
rendezvous. That parking lot
All right.
is completely filled with
Oh, yeah.
campers. for the rendezvous.
exactly. And how about
Ours
the
is-
23rd?
Oh, right.
So this,
Sounds like we're leaving you out, Angela, but
That's all
16th
right.
or 23rd?
Oh, wait a minute. So the 9th is the rendezvous?
9th is the rendezvous.
And the library parking lot gets full, but the railroad museum parking lot is not. Maybe we held it coincident with that across the street. We'd have a whole bunch of people coming over to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I think that they use that parking lot as well over there.
That's something to look into.
Well, we can try.
We need to check that out.
Good question. I'll ask Joan about the Rendezvous Festival.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah,
All right, and otherwise, I guess we're checking the later dates, the later Fridays in August, and I'll see what works best for SMPA and Eco Action Partners.
just the farmer's market on the 23rd, 30th of August, so there's nothing big going on in town, but
Right, and again, Rendezvous is the 9th.
rendezvous is the 9th. Mount Sneffels Marathon is the 16th,
If
that
there,
weekend.
if there is any way to coordinate it with the rendezvous, then we've got a bunch of carbon gas guzzling vehicles to shame during the whole thing.
Like-
pretty funny.
Actually, you know what, the marathon is actually on Saturday, their
Is it?
setup
Hey,
is on the 9th.
Friday
on
for
the
marathon,
16th. Yeah. Yeah,
Can't shame the runners as well as you can the rendezvousers.
so the 16th is actually just a setup of the marathon, it's not the marathon, it's the 17th, it's the marathon. So, I mean, really, any Friday in August.
Sounds good. All right, thanks. Appreciate the discussion, and I will keep you all posted as we hear from Eco Action Partners and SMPA.
So our last item on the agenda is, I put together this is something I've been kind of just had on a spreadsheet or on a sheet just to keep track of the things that we haven't finished yet. So, here we go. We have the net zero resolution, which I provided to Preston. And it was one of those items he said, really, we should have SAB make that request to council. So that's why I put request to council next to it.
Okay,
Board terms and additions to it, for an additional board member. That again is a request to council. The idling vehicles, budget requests, the code changes. There was some discussion at the last meeting about that process and when that's going to happen. Now that Eco Action is got that grant going, which council did support, it looks like the code changes will not happen until early part of 2025.
really? Wow.
On a state level.
What's that?
On a state level, that's when the state codifies it?
Yeah, well, that's
Or is that when we would?
when we would do it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Because we're.
Yeah, the issue is that Eco Action Partners is applying for a grant for the whole region, and that grant would, since Ridgway would be a part of that, we would get funding to help us implement this.
Yeah.
And
Training.
so, right. So the idea right now is we come up with a document, an educational document to try to encourage people to think all electric as they start the process of building during the next year, and let them know that probably next year it's going to be a requirement.
That sounds good. Dave, why wouldn't we adopt the latest rather than, like, why would we adopt a 2021 rather than 2024?
I think that's a great question. I think that I don't, that's something that we're going to have Kim educate us in the town about the differences between those. But I do think that we're going to be required by that Colorado legislation to adopt one that's, maybe the latest, so, yeah, we'll
For the
see.
election.
I
I
mean,
think it doesn't make sense to adopt like an earlier one when we know the latest one's the more robust one. I mean, it's to me, that seems like something SAB could recommend to town council is that we adopt the 2024 resolution, not either or, but we strongly feel
I
that.
think at this point, it's determining which of the two, what the 2024 consists of, first off.
I don't think we're finished with it.
And also, I think isn't it the state is requiring the 2021
Yeah.
one, because the 2024 is my understanding has not been complete.
Yeah, it's not complete,
Yeah, so we don't even
right,
know.
right?
So if
Yeah,
that,
2025, I'd
it's
just.
probably not gonna be done until 2025.
Well, we should
But,
think about
yeah.
the election because if Trump
So
comes in.
it may be one of those issues where we adopt 2021 and then make the changes needed for the 2024 at a later date.
Is that an action item? We can have Kim come and give us an update on what
Absolutely.
they would recommend that we recommend to town council, because to me, that's our role, is weeding through those details and recommending to town council what we think is the best action forward. And, it's easy to just.
Yeah,
look at
that-
it and say, well,
I-
the 2024 is going to be better planned than the 2021.
Yeah, as far as the items for sustainability and yeah, yes.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree, Angela, although I think it's probably gonna be 4 to 6 months from now before we would do that, because
Oh.
it's really gonna be on hold.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'm a little bit confused here. So EAP is getting a grant to develop some training on the new codes, building codes. Will they be focusing on the 2021 or the 2024 in their training development?
2021. 2024 has not been developed.
So I think the easy term is that the most recent adopted code,
Okay.
Is the
you know, and
2021.
then subject to.
And
Yeah, but Dave, the issue is that along with the adoption of the 2021 code, you also have the requirement to adopt the Colorado all-electric ready code, which means that every new building is going to have electric wiring to the area of heating, and you got to have wiring for an EV charger in the garage and wiring to your stove area. So even if you choose to install gas, the appliances have to have the appropriate space and electric wiring running to them for future electrification. And we can send you a copy of that Colorado EV, electric ready requirement bill that was passed.
And this is
It's online.
this is a longer discussion, but we've also discussed the idea that this is a minimum state requirement that we can adopt. We could choose to adopt something more stringent
that's
and
right.
require all electric and not just all electric ready.
But
That's a whole different
that's
ball.
what I'm confused about here is, as a SAB, what we're really interested in here is the training and helping people adopt this. And so we're relying on the materials that EAP is putting together. Those won't be available till 2020.
Yeah, so they're helping not only with training, but implementation, because it's a big change from what we're currently, where our code currently is. So the builders are gonna have, it's gonna be a big learning curve for them.
Educational campaign.
So there's gonna be a big educational campaign.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a big opportunity there with messaging to, rather than our tone being like, oh, well, you have to do this, or yeah, then you have to do this. It's like the tone is gonna matter, like super positive. We have this opportunity to do this, and this is gonna make this better, rather than focusing on how difficult it's gonna be. I'm just saying the energy that we put into this as a committee going forward and our choice of words and tone will make a difference.
The regional,
Right, so where are we looking to be involved in this as the SAB? Are we going to be working with our local builders, participating in that training, or is the EAP going to do that, or I'm not quite sure what we're doing is.
We the town to adopt the changing code?
what's that?
Are we first promoting the adoption of these codes to the town, or is that a given? And then all we're dealing with is the educational campaign?
So I know that this board has talked about increasing the requirements to this code. So that those would be recommendations from this board to council to not just have EV ready, but whatever more strict requirements that you want. So knowing what this code entails, this new code, it would be you guys. So
Okay.
no, we want to see this.
So the town is going to adopt the 2021, and we're looking at possibly adding some stuff to that.
Exactly.
That is maybe more like
We have
what's
to
going
do
to
it
come.
as a minimum, but we could do
Okay.
more.
All right, and then are we as SAP also somehow trying to get involved with the educational component for Ridgway?
Yes, because we have a website and I think it's important that this board has talked about assisting with the education part of it.
Potentially in conjunction with EAP
With it?
Exactly,
Right.
exactly, with,
and SMPA for that
Yeah.
matter.
well, with several other partners.
All
I
right,
think it's gonna be important, because it's gonna be a big change for these guys, and I think, the more help they can get. And I
And it's
know,
also,
Preston, go ahead, Angela.
sorry to interrupt. It's also important that we understand the process here is different than the Green Street Park, in that this is going to be a resolution by the town that's not going to have community input. And then what we're doing is an educational campaign to help bring people up to speed. It's not going to be this, we don't want to start rolling out the educational thing and then like turn it into this like thing that invites opposition and turning it into a bipartisan type of issue. It's a resolution by the town and we support it through education, correct?
There's that.
Well,
there's
it's a
also the-
government
there-
resolution.
In addition to that, as SAB, we could promote not the bare minimum code of action, but additional. But that would be before the town council, not open to the public per
Yeah,
se.
Great.
And then the educational campaign would ensue after we've decided, after the town has adopted whatever we promote.
And it wouldn't be that we have to create the educational materials. Those will be available through Eco Action, SBA. There's already a lot of that stuff out there, right? It's just us creating the venue, the time, the presenters, the forum, all that.
Well, we might customize some of that material based on whatever it is that we get the town to adopt. Because it wouldn't be standard.
I think that Eco Action Partner will probably be very well prepared for the minimum plus anything else that could come up.
The Energy Board is also
Yeah.
working on
Yeah,
education,
exactly.
so
I
it's
think-
coming from all sides.
Yeah.
I think we'll have a
We'll
lot
have a lot
of
of-
education, a lot better.
Yeah, the state
We'll have
where theirs is.
better training materials by going through Eco Action Partner in this grant that they're going after.
And the
they'll be-
website we have is already a great start.
Right,
Right. Thanks to Daniel. Great.
so,
Click here and save $2 off
so
your
this
electric
is
bill.
our pending action
Really?
item. Dave wanted to add this our evolve on hold, though, correct? Is that on hold?
Part, all,
I don't know what that is about. Dave, do you want to chime in on that?
Well, John Clark had forwarded to me a group that was trying to provide, encourage nonprofits to get solar, and they had some economic incentives, and he thought it would be a great issue for our committee. And while I agree, personally, I think we need to wait till SMPA decides what their rates are going to be, so that we can, in fairness, sit down with those nonprofits and explain the pros and cons of
Just
what
as
the
a,
program is.
as a little input on that, I looked up that website today. It's just another solar company that's choosing to focus on nonprofits by offering financing up front, you know, in exchange for your
Smart.
bill savings. So they're just
Oh.
focused on one particular group of customers,
Yeah.
but there's no additional incentive just because you're a nonprofit. It's just that they're trying
Gotcha.
to brand themselves as the one going after nonprofits.
Thank you, Terry. Let's strike that from our list. That's not what we wanted. Yeah, thank you.
Can we quickly go back to the bullet points above, and rather than
Yes.
have a handout, that we have a QR code that links to a digital source? The high school can create QR codes for us in an instant, and if we have a bunch of handouts that are flying around in the high winds, that's not very sustainable or eco forward.
That's true.
I'm sorry, Angela, I missed the first part of that. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, it says handouts, and paper handouts are kind of like a thing of the past. And QR codes that someone scans with their phone and has a digital handout are kind of like the way forward. So we're not using paper that's causing waste or consuming.
I think the word handout here can be a metaphor.
Yeah, I think it was just, yeah, it wasn't.
It was just a catch. That's
Yeah.
fine. Handout's great.
Right, we can drop them like trash balloons over Korea.
Well,
Perfect.
okay. I'll change the wording on that.
A
And that's all-
educational
that's all
vehicle.
part of the code changes,
Eco-friendly handouts.
We can have it as a speaker thing by the no idle sign. It's just like the
Right.
affirmation station.
So the last two items on that list I had is quarterly updates to the CAP, which we just talked about. And then, update to the website. Because I know there's definitely some stuff that hasn't been updated in there, but, I don't know, Dave, what are your, I know you and Ken are really the ones that have been the only two people that have been doing anything on that website.
Correct. And I think that David expressed some interest in perhaps getting involved with that, which would be wonderful. Anybody else who's interested would be great. But I'm hoping later this summer that we can go ahead and go through what's on the website and get it updated.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help with that.
Okay. I think that's gonna be a really good tool when we get closer to getting these code changes.
Definitely. That, and we can also use it in near term for a place to push our message around the Green Street Park. In other words, if once we have our message to the council, we can publish it there as well. You know, just to expose it to more public, just the council. Any issue, really, any one of these resolutions, we can filter through the website, whether it be the idling thing with background information. It's our educational platform, essentially.
Correct.
Right.
I was thinking that this would probably be a good document to continually have as part of our packet every month so that we can see where we are and see if there's anything we're adding, if there's anything we can remove that has been done.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And I think actually, Angela, correct me if I'm wrong, Angela, but I think you alluded to this in the last meeting that we need to have a way to track what we are doing and, you know, who's responsible for what. So almost like action items for ourselves. And I think this is a good way to.
I could see it ultimately blending with the spreadsheet that you're gonna download, which becomes our sort of our SAV roadmap. Along with the climate action plans, we could have a spreadsheet that tracks these things that aren't specific to climate action plan in that same document.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, whatever just let me know. That's what.
because that's a handy way to track it. You can see it by quarter or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, but I think it'll probably be, I mean, last year we were frustrated being part of that CAP development and adoption process. we came to them with other things saying, this is in the town master plan. Why can't we have it in our Ridgway appendix here? And they said, well, sorry, this is fixed in stone and we'll revisit it, once a year. So don't expect what they have to be a working document. I think we develop our own working document. We can pull in some items from what they have on the Ridgway appendix. And then next year, when they have the review of the cap, we can take our working document and sit down with them and say, well, why don't you add these things in? This is what we've worked on. This is what we've done. This is where we're going.
I totally agree with you. My suggestion was we just use that structure, our working document pulled from some of those initiatives and then add these to it and come up with our own version of the working document. It may or may not include a lot of those cap initiatives, but it becomes the SAB version of it.
I agree. In some way, like we talked about before, that we can these issues won't fall off the radar screen, and we can also prioritize them because
Almost like
we have more issues than we could do.
Okay,
Yeah.
Then we need 4 more board members.
so,
Yeah, right. Complicated. Ooh,
does anybody have anything else to add to this pending action items on this?
well, I'm willing to start with this idling and create this letter that supposedly we need to create.
So I think, if you want to do a draft and
Yeah.
send it,
To
send it
Preston?
out
Oh, to
send it
all of
out to
us?
everyone.
Okay.
And, again, do not reply all, but if you have any
Okay.
comments, then just respond directly to Dana. We'll get the master one done, but really the letter should be signed by the chair.
So is this letter addressed to this?
Town
to
council.
Town council.
And
Okay.
this is the structure she was going to give us a straw man for here.
Yeah.
But you can write a letter and make it
Yeah.
Right, I thought we'd just try it. This will be the first one. I'm pretty
Sort of letter
ready
structure.
to do it. I mean, I've been researching it.
And then looking at the
so-
calendar, just as another item, we have the meeting on the Green Street on the 11th.
Yeah, I have a couple of
The
those.
town council meeting is the next day, so we're not going to have a chance to,
It's not gonna be in there.
so we won't have a chance on the 12th to present our thoughts resulting from the 11th, which means that we'll probably have a Green Street item on the next town council, which will be July 10th.
Okay,
So that we should look for an agenda item to present our thoughts on Green Street at the July 10th.
okay, that's good to know.
Good call.
Thank
That's
you
the
for that.
Priority right now is the green.
Yeah,
So that only gives us the 3rd. So we'll have our next meeting on the 3rd and then, or our July meeting on the 3rd. And that gives us that week to.
Okay, so I had to ask you about this July 3rd meeting. How many people are gonna be in town?
I won't be.
It will be maybe on jury duty,
Okay.
but.
Yeah, I'm not.
Because
I'm
I've
I'm
got,
probably out.
yeah, I've got several, board members who are not gonna be here. So my question to you all was, should we move that meeting? I've got this on my next item is, we've got a couple of conflicts with dates. July 3rd being the day before a holiday. People are out of town. Should we move it to the 9th, which is a Tuesday the following week?
Well, green,
And that's one day before the
That's
town
one day
council.
before town council.
That's not enough for town council.
what about move
So
it
we-
back?
What's
We
that?
do it like the 25th or the
Yeah.
2nd?
Yeah, something, yeah, move it back, not forward.
No, I don't think that I've got availability in the community center.
I think the 9th
since
would
we
be
can't do
good.
the planning commission, yeah, we've got it pretty booked up.
By July 1st,
July 1st?
yeah, first.
I could do
I'm gonna be
the
traveling that day.
July 1st won't work either. I have, there's a PTOS meeting on the 2nd. No, so it's.
Nothing the week of the 24th through the 28th?
No,
Because if we do it on the 9th, we're not gonna really have a chance to congeal our thoughts in writing for a presentation the following day to the council.
but
I,
this is,
I will be there. I mean, I'm gonna be here. So who do we have that's not gonna be here?
On
What
what
day?
day?
On the third. Let's just see.
I'm not.
I will be here, but maybe
Maybe.
late if I'm. actually on the tour.
Okay,
Oh,
probably not.
Dave, no?
But I mean,
David?
probably not, but as I understand it, the council is not gonna be making a decision about Green Street on the 15th or 16th or whatever.
It's the
More than
10th.
likely, they will not.
July 10th.
Well, the results
Yeah,
of
there's-
the June 11th, let's just backtrack. There's a meeting on June 11th, that's next week. You know, that's going to next iteration, which will then potentially be presented in to the council.
Potentially.
That's the earliest.
What
It
if we had
seems
a,
like when it's fresh after the meeting,
yeah,
the Green Street Town meeting, when it's fresh, that's the
Yes.
opportune time. And if we shouldn't be moving it backwards, I mean forwards, like.
what about a special
What-
meeting after the Green Street meeting?
Yes.
We just have a
When
special
is-
meeting?
I know Preston is not available. I have a very limited schedule between now and the end of the month. Just don't have anything before
I
that.
don't know if we
Nothing in the week of the 17th through the
We
21st.
don't need Preston, really.
When is the third Green Street meeting?
The
The
11th.
The second, there is no third scheduled at this time.
Yeah.
So if we did the meeting on the 9th, but we kind of came together with some, emails back and forth on our recommendations, it seemed to me like we could be ready with a letter to
We
the
would
council.
not,
By
at that point, we would not have enough time to get onto the agenda for the day before. The packet goes out on Friday. So.
But we could get the subject on the agenda.
We could
It's just
get
we wouldn't have anything in the packet.
Subject, yeah.
Well, what's the hurdle here? It sounds like it's a town scheduling thing with you, Deb, that you're not available.
Not just me, it's Preston, it's the availability,
I don't
it's more actually the availability of the room.
We don't need Preston.
We
just-
don't, well, we need the room, we need a place to have a public meeting.
Well, there's the library.
I don't have the
So- so
capability
that-
to do a meeting in the library. It has to be recorded.
So,
What a hassle.
so
Yes, and this committee is subject to the sunshine rules, so we have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to.
Okay.
Deb,
We
we have to submit something to the town on the 12th, is that right, Deb?
If we could,
For what?
The 11th.
12,
Are you talking about June,
No.
July now?
July, so if we had our meeting July 9th, do we have to, and the town council is meeting on the
10th.
17th?
No.
No, the
next-
10th, the next day.
That's the rub.
Oh,
We would
okay,
have-
gotcha.
We would have less than 24 hours to put something
I
together.
think our best bet is meet on the
Yeah.
3rd. We need to meet on the 3rd with whoever can be available.
Okay, I'll try to call in.
Harry, are you in town?
I'm a maybe, so I'm not sure there's anybody here that's confirmed for the 3rd though.
Yeah,
Is there?
I'm here. But I mean,
Hello,
Angela is?
David.
Okay.
that's
Dave
good.
is a no, David's a maybe.
Well, I may be able to Zoom. I don't know.
I'm sure Ken is not gonna be available. I think he told me no, and I think Joyce is a no.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's keep the meeting on the 3rd. Resulting from the 11th, I'm going to be intimately involved in this because it's part of the grants that I'm working on. So I can put together a brief of issues that we could begin to discuss by email
Yeah,
prior to the 3rd. So
Right.
that-
So the-
Just
Okay.
know, sunshine laws, you cannot do reply all.
Right,
So we're gonna.
so I will
use-
forward them to you and you can submit.
I can submit
submit them
to
out,
each of you, because I'm not on the board, but, so we can figure that out and just kind of communicate that way.
But at least I can
But
provide a
think our best
summary
bet
of
right now is
the
just
11th
keep it
meeting.
on the
Okay.
3rd, because there's just too many, there's nothing earlier we can do, and it's too late to do it.
And then that gives us a full week to put something together before the town council meeting. So we meet on the 3rd, but you need to get us on the agenda for the town council meeting on the 10th.
See if I can do that. At least have a comment section.
Yeah, so the SAB would like to present,
Somebody can. somebody
SAB
can
would like to
present.
present to town council on the tenth about our thoughts on the Green Street Park.
Yeah. Angela, comments?
With the caveat that I guess if they decide to have a third meeting like they did with the other parks, then we could go ahead and move our meeting back.
Yeah,
Then we can move the meeting. And
that's a good
But
thought,
nonetheless, we want to inform that process to the
Right.
council as early as possible.
right?
We should get it on the schedule, on their agenda.
Push them.
You can always cancel it.
Well, that's good to know. You can cancel.
Okay. Okay, so, we're gonna keep it on the 3rd and we'll see what happens on the 11th and then we'll go from there.
Okay,
Yeah, each time between the 11th and the 3rd, there'll be communication on, how you want to proceed with it.
Right,
With
I'll
the
send
written-
out a notes from the 11th and some thoughts, just to introduce the conversation to this committee.
Okay.
But it probably won't be till after the 14th, because I'm writing 4 grants before the 13th.
Oh,
Then I'm gonna be
Jesus.
drinking heavily that night, and then I travel on the 14th to Vermont, so it'll probably be that
Oh,
long.
wow. So this is a silly question, but on the July 10th meeting, of the town council where we're going to present, who's going to present?
We'll figure that out.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
so I don't know if Joyce is available, it would be hers, or you guys can let me know who wants to do it.
Okay.
Who wants to go for
Because
the.
Dave, you're not available on the 10th in town?
I may be available on the 10th. Yeah, I should be available on the 10th actually. But my question, when Super Bloom, when we met with them initially, they told us that their third and final meeting was going to be on the 10th of July.
Oh, well, that is the presentation to the town council then.
Okay.
So maybe,
Their third,
Is that the?
That's what we have right now, that's what we have, but there's always
So-
the potential that they could want to do another meeting depending on what happens.
So we won't even have the final from Super Bloom to figure out what we're gonna, pardon me?
It will go in front of council, the final will go in front of council.
Right, but I guess my point is that wouldn't we want to,
influence that.
wouldn't we want to have our recommendations based off of that final recommendation rather than what's coming out of this?
So I think that both
Get
can
it on
happen. So
June
if
11th.
coming out of the meeting on the 11th, they get feedback from the community and us being at that meeting, and they're gonna come up with a draft that they're gonna present on the 10th, we should be prepared to present our view of
Of the,
our opinion, which will be influencing the council on the same day as
Okay.
theirs,
Yeah.
so.
it's a-
Yeah.
yeah.
maybe we
That's the
could
worst.
get
It'd be
their
nicer if we could do it
third
before.
draft
Yeah.
before,
Well, yeah, let's
since
set,
we
We
are,
can't do that,
we can?
no,
because they're under contract.
yeah.
Oh, they're under.
The drafts will be presented all at once. to
Okay.
everyone, Yeah.
Okay.
No soup for you.
No, no sneak peek.
Maybe I could sneak in the room as a fly. Hear what they have to say.
Well, they're presenting the three options, so.
On the 11th,
On the 11th,
and then
so depending on.
Public comment.
Public comment, those three options, they'll be able to make comments on those, on which one they prefer.
Okay,
The SAB can put their letter together and say, this is what we want, and this is
Okay.
what we're recommending, and this is why.
oh yeah, it's a big deal, boy. Time.
so it's just all gonna come together at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so, and speaking of dates, September 4th, we have a meeting. And we've got a conflict on that with the town. Preston, myself, and an event that's going on. So we're trying to see if we can move it to the 10th. I know that's kind of a ways out there, but I just wanted to put it out there when we're talking about it. About changes.
Not the 11th, 10th.
The 10th, the 11th is a town council,
Oh,
meeting, so we can't do that in September.
The 13th is Blues and Brews.
Um,
10th works fine for me.
okay, so I'll send an email out and give you guys a heads up, and you can, if we can get enough be okay with the 10th, otherwise
Can
we're
we,
gonna
can we just,
in the 16th.
I'm okay with that.
can we, yeah, let's just do a show of hands and try to
Okay.
change it now if we can.
September 10th for the date of the SAB meeting
I've got
instead of the,
I've got nothing on my calendar.
instead of the 4th.
September 11th.
Angela, how are you with that? Do you know? That's too far out for you?
She's not listening.
No, I guess you can hear me.
Well, you can just send out that.
I'll send it out.
that email.
Yeah.
You guys can get it.
I
Or you can
do it.
just schedule it and we'll just accept it or not.
Yeah.
And then the last item that's not, the last thing I have to talk to about, well, let's do the minutes first. Approval of the minutes.
I'd like to move that we adopt the minutes of the May 1st, 2024 agenda. Or
I
minutes.
second
Yeah.
it. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, thank you. And then the last thing I want to give to you guys is an update. JT stopped to my office this last week. He has got an amazing opportunity in front of him. He has just purchased a huge amount of property in Chile. And basically a preserve with, I mean, he could be talking for hours on this
It's
beautiful
like a
place.
conservation.
It's a conservation property.
Oh,
I don't know what it's
awesome.
like,
Right on the
20
river.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
yeah.
he is going to be leaving Ridgway. He's going to be selling his house. It's actually went on the market, I think.
Oh, my
Already?
God.
And he is gonna still keep his property on the Mesa, but he is going to be doing this, this wonderful adventure and project in Chile. So, he was gonna be here to tell you all about that, but he's right in the middle of a major transition.
Yeah.
So-
I can't remember the name of the river, but I looked, he showed me links to the property.
So,
It's like the
very
second most
excited about
popular
that.
whitewater river in the world.
Oh.
And it goes right through this Chilean area that they're trying to get like-minded landowners to buy up the land along the river to kind of preserve it so that it's
Oh.
not going to be developed.
Awesome.
So, yeah, so that's a great thing for him.
It's a classic.
But
AT
he's
thing.
moving out of the community, so it's a sad thing for the
And his
community.
motorcycles are for sale.
Really?
3 of them, I think. I just sold 2 over the
So
weekend.
does anybody have it? Angela, I don't know if you heard about the change in September dates for the meeting, but I'll send out an email on that. Does anybody else have anything they want to add before we close out this meeting?
Does JT need help with his new property?
Get in line. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I'm gonna close out this
Thank you.
meeting. It is 7:02 PM. Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Safe travels out there.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.